Hello YouTube. Hopefully I'm not having a rainy day. Hopefully it's going to stop long enough for me to get to do what I want to do with the Lamellar armor again. And if you remember, I had taken a piece of basically homemade, what they used to do in the earlier centuries, 3rd and 4th, up to the 16th century is the last it was used, where they would take leather and other materials. And in this case, there's 4 sheets of leather here that are glued together. Remember, I'd shot it with a 22, and it didn't penetrate. And my next thing is I'm going to shoot it with a 9mm Makarov full metal jacket, and that's a 95 grain bullet. And this is again about 3/8 of an inch thick. I'm going to see if it penetrates this. I'm thinking it will. And then if it does, I have a thicker sheet of 6 pieces of leather glued together, and this is roughly 5/8 of an inch. And I'll see if it penetrates that. And again, I'm hopefully doing that'll go over the history of the Lamellar armor of my earlier video, where they showed how they would take leather and basically sew them together and make scales, almost like a dragon or a fish. Or basically, you'd see the way the patterns were. That was what they reminded you of. It was like a scale, scales on a fish, where it had the protection of one overlapping the next. And that's what I'm going to try here. See if it one. This is just out of curiosity. I don't expect this to stop much, but I do want to see what it might or might not stop. So let's see what happens. Alright, YouTube, let's take a look at the results of this. And not surprising, there is the 4 pieces of leather and the 9mm Makarov, the full metal jacket, did go through. And you could kind of even see that in the video. I could see out, I don't know if you could see in the video exactly, but you can see out behind it, I could actually see something come out, and I'm thinking it was either the plug of the lead coming out, and you could see whatever it was flying and then hitting the ground. I couldn't go quite, I looked around, couldn't find it, so I don't know if it was a piece of the leather itself or if it was the bullet. And it penetrated, you can see it, it's there, there's a hole, 4 sheets. Now 6 is interesting, and I actually shot it 3 times. It's only in the video once, but I decided to put two more into it. And here you can see it penetrated. Now these are not all the way through. This is cracked. But if you look very closely here, I don't know if you can see, if I can get this in focus, there's actually still fiber connecting here. And you can see that when I bend it. I've looked at it a few times, and you can see where it's not quite all the way. So look, and you can see there's number 5, because I'm looking to make sure there's a clean hole, and there are no clean holes, at least with 2 of them. 2 of them, this one here, it looks to me like it went through. It's really hard to tell otherwise, but these are not cleanly torn. There's actually still fiber connecting here. So I do think, at least with 2 of these, that 6 sheets of leather, very, thin sheets of leather glued together, stopped a couple of 9mm Makarovs. Okay, you're talking 380 rounds. That's actually pretty impressive, if you think about it. And I guess the next thing to do is to test it again. And I'll test it, but this time I think what I'm going to do is, okay, I know this is probably right about where the end is. I'm wondering how thick I can go and to stop a 45. And that's my next. I will take a 45. I have a 45 Colt, and I will take a 45 Colt, and I will probably, I think I'm just going to make a nice even number instead of trying to shoot 6 again. I think I'm going to just stack 10 of these pieces together, get 10 pieces of leather like this, glue them together, and see if a 45 Colt goes through it. And if it stops that, then this will more or less prove that some of this lamellar armor that was used in these ancient times, granted, you're talking some back as far as the 3rd and 4th century and up to the 16th century, and I don't believe it was quite ever this thick. Some of it was, depending on the paper. Some of them used paper armor, thin metal, leather, but I'm wondering for some of the earlier handgun rounds, your earlier musket balls, would this have stopped it if it was this thick? Because there's no way to know exactly how thick it was. There was no standards by which the armor was made, other than, you know, like leather scales sewn together. But and like I said, this is just an experiment. I'm actually just seeing what the hell. So I'm going to take and I'm going to add another 4 sheets. I'm going to take. I've got to get some more leather, and I will take and make 10 sheets, glue them together, and I will see if it stops a 45 Colt. You know, just what the hell for academic reasons. And if it does, hey, cool, that's something different. So with that being said, YouTube, have a good day.